Hey, everybody. I'm back, America. Welcome to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers plus one. My name is Mason, and this is our super special episode for the Emperor's New Groove. First of all, you can tell that I've been gone for a while, so I'm a little rusty. But we are the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, Don Bluth, and everything in between. And I'm here with my lovely co-host, Chelsea Robson.
Howdy ho.
And a super special guest. You might have seen his likeness in a previous episode, but you haven't seen exactly this guy, Mr. Tony Bancroft from the Bancroft Brothers Animation Podcast.
Hey, yo. Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. I love being a rotoscoper. Or am I an animation addict? I don't know the difference.
You are both. Today,
They're one and the same.
You're both.
Are they? Okay. So you're just trying to get the copyright to one, so you got to use both.
Right.
For the time being.
You're one of us. You're one of us.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for joining. If this is your first time, then you're in for one heck of a ride. So strap yourself in. Basically, you can picture us as three of your nerdiest, most animation-lovingest friends talking about what we love about animation and the films that we love. And, like we're just like sitting on the couch talking about geeking out about stuff. And we occasionally go on tangents. More than occasionally, actually, now that I'm back.
Can we have chocolate too? Do we eat chocolate in between too? I have coffee, so I just need a little chocolate to chew on.
Coffee works. I'm here with my Contigo because I started my New Year's resolution of staying hydrated, getting up earlier, and working out. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, good. I was wondering what changed about you. You look great.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they've never been.
I am so thrilled to have you on, Tony. And like I said before we went live, I might get a little nervous, like I did with Chad Lewis, because like you get like the big time people, and I'm just like, I'm a little scared. But
I know it is scary. I'm scared.
I'm scary.
You and Chelsea, I've heard so much about you guys.
I'm a scary person, so that too. So anyway, like I said, we're going to be discussing The Emperor's New Groove by Disney Animation, and I think this movie has been a long time coming because we've gotten tons of requests for The Emperor's New Grooves over the 5 years that we've done the podcast.
Really?
Lots. Yes.
Yeah.
This is one of those that we continuously get people. They're like, hey, why haven't you done Emperor's New Groove? Hey, when are you doing Emperor's New Groove? So are you doing Emperor's New Groove yet? Yes. Today is the day we're finally doing it.
Today's the day. We're finally here. Oh, I got to say, it was one of the most fun productions I ever worked on at Disney. And it was one of those films where we all thought, what's going to happen with this crazy, weird film? Oh, a cat just came in. Shut the door. The cat's getting in.
Oh, no. My dog will hear your cat and go crazy.
I know. No, it was behind you, actually. But yeah, Emperor's New Groove was one of those things where I just was so privileged to work on it because it was not like anything else. It's like when you look at all your kids and you're like, where did that little African-American one come? It's like the postman brought Emperor's New Groove to the doorstep of Disney Pixar Animation. I don't know how else to explain it.
It's a weird one, isn't it? It's like barring. Okay, I can see that how parts of Hercules resemble the sense of timing and the stylistic elements that are in Emperor's New Groove, but it's nothing like anything that we had seen before in Disney feature animation.
No, it's more like a Warner Brothers cartoon. I mean, that was kind of our goal.
How dare you, Warner Brothers?
Warner Brothers. How do you say that?
Unworthy. But it almost. I'm sure a lot of our viewers know this because we've been hinting at this Kingdom of the Sun, but it almost wasn't like it was in the final product. It was almost at one time. It was completely different from what we know it as today.
That's right. And if you've seen The Sweatbox, if anybody out there has seen that documentary done by Sting's wife, Trudy, then you know the backstory of what actually happened. But it was a huge journey.
Yeah. At what point in time did you come in during this process?
I
watched The Sweatbox last night. So.
Oh, you did? You did?
Yeah, because
he saw me in there,
I love The Sweatbox. It's one of those things that it's like, it always gets taken down, but bless those devoted Disney fans who always put it back up.
Disney, don't you know the more you tighten your grip on the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
Yeah, I highly recommend everybody checking that out. If you can find it online, go see the Sweatbox, because it's the backstory of how Kingdom Under the Sun, or Kingdom in the Sun, there was 2 different titles at one time, how that evolved to be The Emperor's New Groove. Totally different story. It was more like the old film and version that Roger Allers started. He was one of the co-directors on The Lion King, and he was the one that really started that project, Kingdom Under the Sun. It was really, it was like, I remember seeing the screening of it and thinking, wow, this is almost exactly like if you took Prince and the Pauper and Aladdin and fused them together. There was nothing original about it. It just felt, I mean, yeah, it might sound like, okay, that could be interesting, but it was just so unoriginal. Everybody, when we saw the screening, was like, really? This is the next feature that Disney's doing? And Roger Allers, coming off of The Lion King, is doing this? Yeah, we were all very disappointed after that first screening. And then
Can't be pigs with pigs.
Yeah. Oh, I wish. I love that one.
Yeah. And it's like, I know that a lot of us are wondering, I wonder what might have happened, if they had actually gone through with it and made it. But do we not have a total gem in The Emperor's New Groove and how it turned out? Like, I can't think, okay, besides Robin Hood, which is like for personal subjective reasons, I can't think of a more universally acclaimed, like, funniest Disney animated feature.
Yeah. Well, and I think, go ahead, Chelsea.
Baymax was funny, but this one.
I'll agree with that. I mean, I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't think there is a more quoted movie outside of
the quotes.
There's just so many quotes, and I've quoted this movie more and more times. And as I watched it again last night, I was like, I will continue to quote this even more now that I have them fresh in my head.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite quote, Chelsea?
My favorite quote is definitely, this because it always comes to my head every time I go shopping. I pass the ice cream, that exact scene where the angels pop up, where the angel says, you definitely should not buy that ice cream, then you would eat it. And then the devil says, exactly, plus I can do this.
Look what I can do.
Point.
What does that have to do? What does that have to do?
Every single time, that's the thing that goes through my head around ice cream. So obviously it's a lot.
Oh yeah. In the chat here we've got my spinach puffs.
That's a
good one. Oh yeah, please send us your quotes in the chat, y'all.
No, wait, he's got a point. That's what Haley says. And Charmy Sketches says, my spinach puffs. Those are classic, those are classic Kronk lines, right?
And, I'm not going to have time for dessert.
They're all Kronk lines.
To answer your question, though, Chelsea, from earlier, when did I come onto the film? It was after the change. So after Roger Allers got fired, and if you've seen the Sweatbox, they cut out 7 songs that Sting had already done and finalized, and kind of started over.
Yeah,
and I think to what you were saying, Mason, I think that what made this a gem, what made this stand out, and what made it unique is that we had so little time by the time that change happened, and we got Mark Dindal came on as the new full-time director. We had to keep a lot of the production design, a lot of the character designs, a lot of the characters. Some of them morphed a little bit, and there was only one new character that was added, and that was Kronk. But the rest of the characters were there in some other form and had the same names and everything. And they brought in Patrick Warburton and stuff. And I'll get into how I first heard the voice and first heard about the character in a minute. But it was like, but once they made that change, there was only like 8 months left in the production. So we had to jam this whole new movie out, do all the animation, all the cleanup, all the characters, everything had to be done like in 8 months. So there was no time for executives to get in there and muck it up and scrutinize it.
Right.
That's what made it fresh and unique, I think.
So you had just directed Mulan after this. And so you've already
before this.
Yeah, right. Before this in 98, you directed Mulan, which I heart Mulan. I really do. That's for a different podcast.
Yeah.
But it came right after that. So I just had a question. As a former director, what are some of the things that you kind of saw in that changeover, or different things that, like, what kind of lessons did you learn from this whole experience?
Well, I remember seeing And this was actually towards the end of the production of Emperor's New Groove. By the time the documentary, The Sweatbox, was done,
Mhm.
I remember going to a first screening of that. They screened it for the staff first, and pretty soon after that, shut the whole thing down. I mean, it never saw the light of day
Right.
again. But we did have a screening for the animation folks, and I remember feeling really sad for Roger Allers. I mean, it kind of sets it up in the movie and stuff, and you see him like
Right.
walking on the beach, you know, on the coast, and the waves are hitting his feet, and he's like melancholy. You know, it's very heavy drama there. But
Mhm.
you know, having gone through the directing process and the ups and downs and the roller coasters of it all, I really fell for him, because every film, really every Disney film, has gone through a process like that. We just don't see it. They don't do a documentary about every single one. But
Yeah.
Emperor's New Groove was not unique. The only thing that was truly unique about it was that they practically started over. But a lot of them have pretty much started over. I mean, Tangled was a different movie. You've heard the story about that.
Absolutely.
There's been a ton of them, a ton of them that have Frozen is another good example that went through so many iterations and changes over the years, and have been in development for 10 years and things like that. Actually, The Emperor's New Groove was fast in comparison to some of those. So yeah, it was, it was definitely a different film back then, though.
Yeah, that's interesting how you say that this iterative process of the production of getting the story right and going, and like the executives and pleasing everyone, I guess, in the production pipeline, I guess. It's interesting that you say it's not unique to The Emperor's New Groove. I guess it just really meant something to Sting and his wife, so they decided to make the documentary.
Yeah.
But so what was it like? So you were in a directorial position with Mulan, and then I think you were supervising animator for one of the characters for this film, right?
Oh, yeah, Kronk. I did Kronk.
For Kronk. So, what was it like? Kind of, I don't know. Do y'all in the animation industry consider that like stepping down, or do you just like do you have like a different perspective as an animator being a director, or how did that change your experience, or did it?
Well, I mean, for me, the whole this is my backstory of how I came to the movie, is that, and it's a good question, because a lot of people do, like, oh, well, yeah, is that a step down going back in animation? I guess I didn't really think of it that way. Your hair looks great, Mason. Your looks wonderful.
Thanks. I'm a preener. Just ignore the preening. Your hair looks great too. Right back at you.
I don't know if you forgot that your camera's on, but it still is. But yeah, I mean, I came off of Mulan, and I was up in development for like 6 months, and I was developing ideas, and I thought, I'm going to pitch, the next big Disney film. And I was they just said, go upstairs in the development. They gave me an office and, come up with ideas, no hurry, And so after 6 months, I pitched to Tom Schumacher, who was then the VP of development. I pitched him, hey, what if we did a superhero movie? And I really wanted to do came from comic books, my brother and I. So I wanted to do a superhero movie. And I pitched Peter Schneider, the president of animation, the whole concept of like Spider-Man, and how he, had this great feeling of responsibility because he could have saved his uncle. And so with great power comes great, and the whole theme of what Spider-Man is about, because he was like, superheroes, they're just so one-sided. This is way before Disney even considered buying Marvel. And I was pitching the idea of Disney should create their own superhero and do it. And this is also way before The Incredibles. And sure enough, they turned it down, and they were like, no, we already did our superhero movie. It was called Hercules, and it didn't do well. And so they were dead set against that idea. And of course, Brad Bird did The Incredibles and did it really well later on. And then I pitched the idea of Puss in Boots. And I said, I love the story of Puss in Boots, and what a great visual, this cat in boots. And I was going to do it as like a sword swashbuckler movie. I thought it would be really fun and have a lot of action adventure to it. And this is, again, way before Shrek, way before DreamWorks did anything with Puss in Boots. And Tom Schumacher just said, no, Disney can never do a title like that. It's too X-rated, And I'm like, what?
DreamWorks can.
Yeah,
DreamWorks can.
DreamWorks would happily do it. Yeah, and I said, we'll put a poster out there, and it'll be a cat in boots. What are people going to think? They're going to think it's about a cat in boots, But yeah, they just couldn't consider it at the time. And so then later, DreamWorks did that, And then I pitched an Irish folktale. I really wanted to do something Irish and with Irish music and things like that. And then later they turned that down too. I was going to do something with giants, and of course now they're doing a giant movie. So yeah, nothing was really working out for me, and I could tell by the landscape of where things were going that nothing was getting greenlit at the time. Now I didn't know, I didn't have a crystal ball to see what was going to happen next, but this is right before all the layoffs and the change of everything going from 2D animation into CG animation with Pixar and everything. So it was a very volatile time, a very slow period where they were trying to figure out what's next and where they were going to go as a studio. So instead of sitting up there for another couple years, just pitching ideas and being turned down constantly, I said, I really miss animating. I really want to go back in the animation trenches. Is there characters I could work on in something that's currently in production? And Tom Schumacher said, that's great. Okay. I think he was tired of me pitching these ideas. So he said, yeah, okay. So there's Treasure Planet. We have this character named Morph. I had always done comedy characters. So they're like, well, there's a comedy character named Morph in Treasure Planet. And he's this character that can literally morph and change into things. He's pantomime, so that might be fun. I was like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. And then they said, and on this new film, Emperor's New Groove, it's just been changed. And we have a brand new character on there. There's nobody up for it. And his name's Krunk, and he's kind of this big, dumb guy. And at first, I was not really attracted to that. Morph seemed like the better character. I thought pantomime, and it would be fun to see, animation-wise, to see it change into things. And it was a bigger character at the time in the screenings. And Treasure Planet was like going. Emperor's New Groove was still like coming out of the transition. They were reworking everything in storyboards. So I said, well, let me hear the voice for Kronk. And then they played it for me. And they said, oh, it's Putty. He's Putty from Seinfeld.
Oh, that's right.
I said, oh, that big guy. Oh, I love that guy. Putty, yeah. And I had done, I think, one recording session with him or something as a tryout. And I just fell in love with it when I heard his, Dave Big, got a low voice like that. I just, oh my gosh.
Hey, Vader.
Hey. Yeah, Mason and I are going to have a Kronk off here real soon.
I think I know who's going to win.
Now, I got a nasally problem right now, so you may sound more Kronk-like.
Well, I'm naturally nasy, so the handicaps just might balance out.
Yeah, nice.
Well, why even hold it off? Do you guys in the chat want to see a Krunk off between the man of 100 animation impressions, which is me?
Is that you?
Yes, that's me. that's what I'm known on the internet for. It's my claim to fame. Anyway, yeah. Let's.
All right.
Why?
Let's do the Kronk off then.
What better time the Krunk off? Let's start it. Okay, so how do we? This is just impromptu. How do we do this?
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have each one of you take a quote, your favorite top 5 quotes, and then I will be the judge as far as who is the better Kronk.
All right.
In this group. All right.
Kronk. I think you should decide, and I think the people in the chat should decide.
Okay.
People are getting hyped for it. Okay. I will give the first move advantage to Tony.
All right, here we go. All right, the poison for Kuzco, the poison chosen especially to kill Kuzco. That poison? Right. Oh yeah.
That was a great one.
That was really good. Okay. Oh, sometimes I lead in with other voices, so let's see.
Stop stalling.
How do I do? Okay, here we go. Well, in my defense, all your poisons look the same. Might want to think about relabeling some of them.
That's a good one. All right. I see. Good. All right.
Let's do multiple ones, and we'll start. Let's do multiple ones, and the people in the chat will decide.
Yeah, I think Tony has a little bit of an advantage here, just because he's heard this so many times.
Yeah, and I'm older, and I'm very muscular too. That helps. I think the diaphragm.
All right.
And my voice sounds like this.
Yeah, and you got that high squeaky thing. I'll do the same line. What was it you just did?
In my defense, all your poisons look the same. You might want to think about relabeling some of them.
Okay. Well, in my defense, all your poisons do look quite alike. You might want to think about relabeling them.
That last bit sounded spot on.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
yes.
no! I won't have my groove thrown off. The people in the chat are clearly favoring Tony. I gotta knock you out with this one.
All right,
Gotta
keep
knock
going.
you out in the second round. Let's
Do it.
see. Let's see. Oh, I gotta look up. I'm getting all nervous. I gotta go onto IMDb and find the quotes. Let's see.
Squeaker.
Oh, okay. We'll do that one. Oh, this little fella's had a hard time. Apparently, a talking llama gave him a load of crap back there. I don't know the actual quote.
Squeaking. Apparently, this little guy has had a hard time. I think he's lonely for his mommy. I don't know.
Where is my acorn? Squeak, squeak it, and squeak, squeak it. You have my acorn.
You have my acorn.
Oh, it's so good.
You got to have a little bit of a. There's a bit of a rasp, a little bit
It's
of a.
like
A little breathy kind of thing.
a little breathy. Dang,
Yeah.
I can't nail it.
All
I'm going
I
down,
think-
folks.
right, I'll give you one more chance, Mason.
Okay, I
Give you
gotta
one
find
more.
the mother of all. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
I'll do a bonus one. Ordering 3 pork combos, extra bacon on the side, 2 chili cheese samplers, a basket of liver and onion rings, catch of the day, steak cut in the shape of a trout. You got all that, honey? 3 dang it. 3 oinkers, wearing pants, plate of hot air, basket of grandma's breakfast, and change the bull to a gill. Got it.
There you go.
You can do that one.
I don't even know that line. It's so fast. It's hard to do.
Oh yeah,
fast.
it's all coming together.
He's always better when you kind of slow him down a little bit. Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Oh man.
Okay, hey, okay. Instead of fighting each other, let's do like they do in almost every episode of Dragon Ball Z and fight with each other against a common enemy. I'll do the. Do you want to do the? We could do the shoulder devil
Oh yeah, the Devil and Angel. Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Are you
Let's
looking at a
see.
script somewhere? Because I don't have that in front of me.
Okay. All you have to do is say, what does that have to do with anything? When I do the reason number 2, and then you do the listen, you guys, you're kind of confusing me. So be gone,
Okay.
or whatever, whatever I have to get. All right.
Or whatever I gotta say.
Listen
Yeah.
up, big guy. I got 3 good reasons why you should just walk away. Number 1, look at that guy. He's got that sissy stringy music thing. We've been through this. It's a harp, and you know it. All right. That's a harp, and that's a dress. Robe. Reason number 2, look what I could do. Ha ha.
Was I supposed to say something there?
Yeah.
Oh,
What does that have to do
oh.
with anything?
Oh yeah.
Oh, what does that have to do with anything?
No, he's
I
got a
don't know.
point.
I ruined my line. I don't know. I don't remember that
All
line.
right.
It's funny. I animated that whole sequence. I
You
animated
did?
every single scene. Yeah.
How did you help from not cracking up every 5 seconds?
I know.
I loved it. It was probably one of my best runs on any animated feature I ever did because I purposely, as supervising animator, you can kind of pick and choose the scenes, and the director's like, "Yeah, we want you to do all of it. So go ahead and handpick stuff." And so I did the poison, line that I did earlier. I did that animation when she's, all that scene, and then that Devil and Angel bit. I did that all the way through every scene.
Okay, so like the facial expressions when he's like, "I'm gonna take you down the path that rocks," and he
Yeah.
gets the mouth so perfect. Do you think that up, or do the story artists think that up? Do y'all work together? Like,
It's a little bit of both. The storyboard artist in that case was Chris Williams, who's now become a director, and Chris had some pretty
Oh,
funny
yeah.
poses, and I think he did have. I think he had this kind of thing. I can't remember, but things like robe, and he does this gesture like robe. I came up with that because it was totally different in the storyboards. So it's kind of a give and take. If there's a good expression, and sometimes the director will say, "Oh, I love this pose, just how it is in the storyboard." So you got this mandate to try and
Yeah.
save that or hold on to that. And then other times they're like, "Yeah, if you got any other ideas here, this one doesn't really do much for me in the storyboard, so have fun."
that is awesome. What other sequences did you animate with Kronk?
I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah, this is a real popular one too. I know where he's sneaking. He does his own soundtrack. Yeah.
He had his own
Genius.
theme song.
Yeah.
Some guys
Yeah.
walking by, I'm like, okay. I'm so
I mean-
glad I was unconscious during all this.
That was funny in the storyboards, though. I mean, I really give credit to the storyboard artists for that, because it really was about just, Patrick Warburton's funny little thing, and then that pose of like, I'm not here, you can't see me.
As I was watching this, knowing that I was going to talk to you, even not knowing that I was going to be talking to you, I think I still would have felt the same way. I always feel that when I watch this, that you did such a fantastic job of balancing the outrageousness of his personality with also the subtlety of the like certain movements.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
this one is so outrageous and subtle at the same time. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, and some of that was due to Mark Dindal we were talking about Warner Brothers earlier, and that was a
Right.
bigger influence, Chuck Jones and things like that, more than the Disney classics. So stylistically, Mark was pushing all the animators to go a lot more posy and kind of hit things harder and stay in poses. And so in some ways, almost a more limited style, as opposed to like, slow ins and kind of, a lot of, drifting movements and things like that traditional feature animation is usually known for. So it had a different style to it, which really lended itself well to Kronk and his humor style.
Yeah, totally. Well, I love the sneaky bit, and I just think that everyone's favorite part of this film is all the parts with Kronk. But
Yeah.
I think there's also something to be said about the relationship between Kronk and the villainess of the film, Yzma, because I don't really consider Kronk a villain. He's more of a misguided henchman.
Right.
But Yzma, she is outrageous. I think she's one of my favorite villains, like, baddies of all time in Disney, not just, villainesses. I don't know. She's hard. If she and Ursula had a fight or just like a really heated argument, I wonder who would come out as the winner.
Right. It should be fun to see Cruella de Vil and Yzma.
Yeah.
And,
That would be fun.
kind of like
Living proof that dinosaurs once roamed the earth.
yeah.
Honestly, as I was watching the Sweatbox, I was thinking, like, who the real victim of this was Eartha Kitt. The fact that she didn't get her villain song. I was just like,
Yeah.
man, this woman is fantastic.
Snuff the
Yeah.
light out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean-
there was a whole thing that was animated and everything. It was done pretty much, and they cut it.
Ugh.
But it was a different design. And when Andreas Deja was the first animator on Yzma, you probably know.
That's right.
And, totally
else?
different look. And so when they changed the direction of the movie and made it this kind of raucous, silly comedy, the designs changed for a little bit. Almost all the designs changed subtly, but Yzma was a big change because
So did she
Andreas was more of a
stay on?
fine artist,
Yeah.
What's that?
Did he stay on for her, or did he? Because it seemed like
No.
he was just like, I'm not a fan of
left.
this whole way. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, he chose to leave when Roger Allers left, and the concept changed. For him, it was not the film that he was promised. It was not the film that he thought it was going to be, and he was not on board for it. I mean, I think most everybody else stayed on. No, there was a couple animators actually that ended up leaving, but there was also because there was like a 4 to 6 month, probably 4 month to 5 month stop in production that animators didn't want to hang around. Like people like Andreas, who's a high-powered, high-paid animator, just practically the studio wants to move him on to something else. So he ended up transitioning to, gosh, I don't know what he did right after that. But something where he was more active instead of sitting at his desk waiting for the change to happen.
Sure.
Probably. Went
Well,
on
I
to
personally
Iron Man.
really,
No, he
really
went on
love.
to-
Oh, go ahead, Chelsea.
He went on to Lilo and Stitch.
Oh yeah, right.
That was what came after that I remember he was on.
Yeah,
I personally love Yzma's final design.
yeah.
Stick thin, angular, and I gotta admit, like the saggy boobs are amazing. The super hanging cleavage and stuff, and it's just so nasty. The part where she's taking like her beauty sleep, and she's got the cucumber, and she's like, "What?" And Trump's like, "Oh, it better be good." But she has great lines too. I'll turn him
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
a flea, a harmless little flea, and then I'll put that flea in a box. I'll put that box in a bigger box, and then I'll mail that box to myself. And when I get it, I'll smash it with a hammer.
I'll
Or to
smash
save
it with a hammer. Yeah, I know. It's,
Or to save on postage, I'll just poison him with this.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Good idea, Yzma. Oh, yeah.
Rob, this is kind of important.
yeah.
Yeah, we have dessert. All right, we can have dessert. And a cup of coffee? All right, and a cup of coffee.
I animated all that stuff too. I remember that
Oh,
was some of my first scenes was that because they were really short.
And coffee?
I remember doing that one.
One of my favorite moments is where because like some of the film and some of the comedy style is just so self-aware and absurd. Like the part where they're like scheming at Kuzco's house, and so to like I guess to like have a little huddle, they just get inside the jump rope game and they're like doing the hand jive
Yeah.
game while they're talking about what they're gonna do. Switch.
Yeah, that was my favorite bit. I thought that was just genius. And I don't know if that came from the script writer. I can't remember if it was the storyboard artist. In this case, Chris Williams always had the best funny ideas as a storyboard artist. So I don't know if it was him or if it was David Reynolds who did a lot of the script. I can't remember who came up with that idea, but just them, instead of just expository talk dialogue, to see them making plans, but also Kronk is really getting involved with the jump rope with the kids.
Dutch.
So perfect.
Oh my
so
gosh.
perfect.
And they did a really good job of like bringing the family in on that one.
Oh
Because
yeah.
even I saw in the film they were just like, yeah, I'm not really a fan of this family. Can we just have them single? No, single men are not interesting. We must have a family. Okay, you're right. Single men are not interesting.
And in a shocking turn of events, we don't know about Cusco, but there's actually a complete, there's actually a complete family where there's no like orphans involved in an animated
Yeah.
film from that era, and so I thought that was interesting. Although we don't know anything about Cusco's parents, well, or do we?
Yes.
There's like sequels and side stuff, right?
I did not watch the sequel of
we
Kronk's
found
New
them.
Groove.
I never watched
Yeah,
Kronk's New
I
Groove
did
or
not watch
Emperor's
it.
New School. We're
I
bad
never
Disney
did either.
fans.
That's
I
all
have
right.
seen it, but it's been a while.
I don't like watching the sequels, so
Oh, a canonical
Oh.
purist. I like that.
I am
Reggie-
canonical.
Rescuers Down Under was a good sequel.
Yeah, but that,
Oh, yeah.
that also went to.
But
That
that
was
was also
feature
theatrical.
animation crew. Yeah,
That was the
Mhm.
feature. Yeah.
yeah, it was a feature animation crew. Absolutely.
What was your favorite sequence to animate?
It was probably that Devil and Angel bit. Once that
Yeah.
came about, and I saw it in the storyboards, I was like, "Oh, that will be mine. Oh yes, that will be mine.
Oh yes, it will be mine.
It will be mine." And I knew that I knew it was going to be a lot of work because there's 3 characters instead of 1, and I would have to some of those shots where it's a 3 shot and that you actually see all of them on his shoulder. Those took some time, and what it
How
meant
much
was,
time does a sequence like that take?
oh my gosh, I mean, it must have taken me 2 months at least, maybe 2 to 3. That I was just
good amount
doing
of time.
that bit of scenes. Yeah,
Especially
and,
since
I mean,
it was like 8 months in the whole.
yeah, I know, and that's the hard thing is when you're choosing scenes and the director wants you to do certain ones. Like most supervisors, they want to do the first scene of the character and the last scene, which I did. I did that opening bit where you meet Kronk and David Spade's character. What's his name? Cusco, where he throws the little snack up to him and he's like, oh, and he falls off the pedestal. He looks
Good
like
one.
he looks like a little dolphin. Yeah, I did that bit, and then kind of sporadically throughout the movie, little bits. But when I took that big chunk of the Devil and Angel Kronk, I knew that it was sacrificing, doing other stuff. It meant that I couldn't spread out quite as much. So, but at the time there was a group in Europe, in Paris, that was working on Emperor's New Groove. They were the guys that had worked on Tarzan, and because we were behind, because we were really aggressively trying to get this movie done, they came onto the movie, all these animators from Paris. And so a lot of Kronk Yzma stuff, the whole funeral scene of Kronk and Yzma at the funeral.
Well, you ain't getting any better.
Yeah, that's all. It's all Paris. And then what I think is one of the more excellent Kronk sequences, and really well done by them. When they're out in the woods traveling, and Kronk's got that backpack that's carrying Yzma. Yeah, that stuff. All that was done in Paris. And the only thing I did is they would send me through fax machine. That's what we had back then. They would fax me drawings, little thumbnail drawings. Machine? Yeah, I know. A lot of people are wondering. It's like a player of a wheel that spins, and but I would get these faxes of their drawings, their little thumbnails, and I would go over them and make suggestions, and Kronk wouldn't do that, or this is a better pose, and then send it back to him. But so I had a little hand in all that, but mostly it was driven by some really talented animators in Paris.
Oui. Well, while we're on the subject of Kronk, I dug up a little thing from my first year in grad school. This was I was taking a facial animation class with the guy that invented facial animation, Frederick Park, and he had us translate a 2D character into 3D and then animate several expressions. And so I don't know if y'all can see it playing, but this is my attempt at landing some facial expressions from Kronk. He's like, oh yeah, it's all coming together. And that's this is the one where he's but it's really hard to translate to 3D.
Yeah. His face, I mean, it's such a graphic film that it's better done.
It's graphic, kids. It's graphic.
It's graphic. Don't show this at home. But yeah, I mean, you probably would have been well suited if you had this at the time. So
we're not worthy.
Seriously. Do you get to keep that for if you're a supervising animator, do you get to keep that? Like that's yours?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and that's the privilege and honor of being the supervising animator, is you get to keep your maquette at the end of the film. But as a director, like I was on Mulan, you get to keep all the statues, which is even better. But yeah, so here's the cheek is, and this was done by gosh, I want to say, does it say? I want to say Kent Milton did all of our sculptures. It's really dusty up here. But yeah, he had a really good, this helped me a lot when I was first starting to design him. We did drawings and stuff, but to be able to actually turn him and get it like an upshot of him and stuff like that, this really helps, because
I could have really used that, actually.
you would have loved that, because his cheeks are the real difficult thing. They have to be graphic from the side and the 3/4 view, but then how's it look from the front and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's tricky. Real tricky.
That's awesome.
So Kronk has ridiculous body proportions. Was that a challenge for you animating someone like that, or had you had experience animating a character like that before?
Oh yeah, it was very difficult, because like we were talking about with the Devil and Angel thing, I mean, he had these huge shoulders, and whenever I had
like a tiny waist,
whenever he had to like walk,
he'll bring honor to us all.
Yeah, you don't see very much of it, but like when he was like going down the stairs, his legs were his leg proportion is very small to his upper body, and I was always really battling with that. I didn't want to make him feel like he was so top heavy that he would just like fall over or something. So it took me a while to gravitate to that. But also, when I first started on Kronk, I was so nervous. And here's a funny story. I was so nervous because up until that point, I had never drawn a character with hands before. That was a human. I'd done a clock, Cogsworth and Beauty and the Beast. I'd done Iago the parrot, so he had these feather kind of hands.
That's right.
And I had done Pumbaa the warthog, who had hooves. So I was like, oh man. And luckily it was very stylized, so it was very forgiving in that way. But just I had to do a lot of research in like how to draw a big buff guy. So I got all these muscle magazines early on, and I put up pictures all over. I had like a whole bulletin board of pictures, cutouts of muscle magazines and all these guys that are like really pumped and stuff. And I used that as research. But one day my daughter, who was very young at the time, I think she must have been 5, she came to visit Daddy for lunch one day. And going into my office, she was like, oh my gosh. She was like, because they're all like half naked. And so she
Right.
leaves and tells her mom, Mommy, Daddy's got naked men all over him. He needs to take those off his desk. I don't think Daddy should have naked men on his desk. And I was like, honey, it's just research, really. I'm just, and then I go on this.
It's just reference, honey.
I literally took him down like the next day.
Well, yeah, I do a little animating in town for a game company, and when you're looking at, like, you have to look up reference, and so like people pass by your desk and see you looking up all sorts of weird stuff, and that's a really funny story.
Well, and these days, I mean, luckily we didn't have the internet back there, and this is 1941. No, it was a while ago. We didn't have Google search and that sort of thing. So it was all about finding books and magazines. I remember studying Pumping Iron, which is like the very first documentary on bodybuilding, and it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Starring Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
Dude, he gives Lou Ferrigno so much crap in that movie. He's hilarious.
He does. He's really mean and kind of rude.
Yes.
Very cocky, very cocky. He's mellowed with time and politics, I guess. But yeah, I would watch that all the time. But yeah, if you try to do a search these days for, magnificently strong men, you'd get, all kinds of porn. It would be horrible.
Well, you got that safe search now and a family filter, I think, on Google. Sometimes
that's
it works.
true. Sometimes.
But yeah. Well, we were working on a character last year, and the guy who was sculpting the 3D model for the game, for the character who was female, was like, "Yeah, Art Lead sent me nudes the other day." Okay. Yeah. Very cool, man. I love hearing all your stories. I wish I could just pick your brain for like 4 hours.
Well, okay.
Can we do that
how long do we have?
No.
This is going to be the biggest live stream ever.
It's epic. Well, I mean, I one thing I can't talk enough about when it comes to Emperor's New Groove, obviously Patrick Warburton was he was so great to work with. And I remember going to see him record, because as the supervising animator, the directors always invite the supervising animators to all the recording sessions. So I was there at all the recording sessions with Patrick. And he was such a down-to-earth guy, even though he had done some live action and he was putty and all this kind of stuff. But and he still is such a down-to-earth guy. I'm still pretty good friends with him today. Like, he invited me to a Christmas party, like just this last year, which was really cool, at his house. But yeah, he's a good guy, and and I do drawings for him and stuff when he asks, and even if he doesn't ask, I'll do a Kronk for him.
You're just like, here.
Because I mean, we did a podcast with him, my brother and I, on our Dadcraft Brothers animation podcast, and he still admits that it's like the best thing he's ever done. The thing that he is probably the proudest of was doing Kronk and Emperor's New Groove, and I think that's cool. When somebody becomes a star and goes off and does other things, and and he's had all kinds of different successes and maybe not so much success, but still, he's up there and very recognizable. And yet Kronk is the thing that he's probably the most proud of. And it's one of the things I'm the most proud of. And I've done, Pumbaa and Mulan, and yet Kronk I still have an affinity for him,
Godspeed, Kronk.
Godspeed, Kronk.
Maybe that's like Emperor's New Groove 4 when they put him in a spaceship and launch him into space. I don't know why I said that. I should have used another phrase. We like you, Kronk.
Yeah. But I really loved, we had a really young character designer that joined us on Emperor's New Groove. And actually he started on the first version with Roger Allers too. His name was Joe Mosier. And Joe, you'll see him, he's very dominant in the documentary Sweatbox. You see him in the very beginning where he's like, oh yeah, so right now they're in this meeting and we don't know what's going to happen. That's Joe Mosier.
Okay.
And Joe is, we did a podcast with Joe recently too. So we talked about Emperor's New Groove. So anybody wants to hear more about Emperor's New Groove can check out that podcast. But Joe was a young guy. He was only, I want to say he was 19 or 20, maybe 2021 probably. We'll say that, when he did Emperor's New Groove. And he had to go over drawings of all these senior animators. And he talks about how he was just very intimidated to, do all these designs and go over everybody's work, but the director wanted this very unified style, so he did these very elaborate model sheets, and he did a kind of a style guide for Emperor's New Groove, and I still have a copy of it here, and it's one of the best style guides that I've ever seen for a Disney film, because it really goes down. He breaks down how he draws the hands with the, the cut off fingernails and stuff like that, and his graphic style, which is part Milk Call and part Ronald Searle, and just kind of him married together in there somewhere, that really gives this unique style, which is one of the greatest assets, I think, of Emperor's New Groove, is how it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Yeah.
And
Scary beyond all reason. Yeah, you could say that.
yeah, exactly. I felt like, this movie, if it's interesting, you look at like the IMDb where it rates, like it kind of, as far as all of the different Disney animated movies, there's like, it kind of like goes, it's pretty up high for, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, and then, kind of tanks for Pocahontas. But it pops back up. Pops back up a little bit. And the thing is, like, Emperor's New Groove is probably the highest rated after
Like
Pocahontas.
Lion King or something.
It's the it's the highest rated after that time, and I think everybody just loves it because of all those strange little things that just make it so. That nobody is taking themselves seriously in this film, and so
Right.
it lets you not have to take anything seriously.
Well,
And I
yeah,
think that's
and
one of the
it's-
reasons why they like it.
Go ahead, Mason.
Oh, well, I just wanted to explore that a little bit, because in the end, like, where do you put Emperor's New Groove in one's ranking of Disney films? Like, does it score high because it's so crazy and comedy centric, or can we even compare it to Disney classics that have, I guess, more heart and more like that focus more on craftsmanship or more on the story, like The Lion King, speaking totally subjectively? Like, should we give it a pass because it's so wacky?
I feel like
When they
I
said
feel
so,
like
it's not the plot, by all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
I think it's a good question, because when the movie came out, it did not do well. Unfortunately, it kind of tanked in the box
Right.
office. I forget what the opening weekend numbers were, but it did not live up to expectations. And yet the staff, the crew that worked on it, we loved that film. We had so much fun, and we poured ourselves into it in a short amount of time. Like I said, we were working late hours, but loving every minute of it because it was so unique and so different, and they just let us go, and for animators, for creatives, there's nothing better. And so we feel like when it came to marketing the film, though, I think the studio didn't know what they had. They didn't know how to. I remember Mark Dindal and some of the story guys, they created their own trailer for the movie and tried to pitch it like, this is how we want you to sell it. And it was this kind of off the wall, kind of wacky trailer, just like the movie is. It really captured the tone. And yet, when the trailer came out, it was still like the Disney voice going, Walt Disney's 47th animated feature, The Emperor's New Groove. Come join Cusco, the llama, who wants to be a prince or is a prince, but wants to be. Don't we all want love?
Walt
And it was
Disney
just
walks
this-
in. Here at Walt Disney Animation Features,
Yeah.
we've been working on a new comedy for all the family.
Yeah.
Here
And
in
it just didn't capture the tone. And so all of us animators and everybody that worked on it, we were just so upset when the marketing went out and the first trailers came out, because we thought nobody's going to get how special and unique this is. And sure enough, we didn't have the numbers. Nobody came out for it. And it was also at a time where 2D animation and Disney animation was kind of going down instead of up. So people didn't have high expectations of it, and people didn't come out for it. What's happened later, though, like now, is that it seems to be huge. It seems to be bigger than it's ever been. It has this huge cult following that so many people, just like you guys said, so many people quote the lines. So many people are just in love with this movie now. But at the time, that's why it was kind of one of the things that didn't help us and kind of helped kill 2D animation, because it was kind of that one, and then Sweaty Bullets, and then blah blah blah, you know, and they just lost the momentum of good movies. But I think there is one thing story-wise that we've always, you know, I've had discussions with my brother about, or other people, and you know, a character has to be. They say a character really needs to be likable from kind of frame one. It's the save the cat kind of thing. If you know that storybook, a lot of people use in Hollywood. It's the idea that a main character should have some kind of redeeming value, should be likable from, you know, almost the first moment you meet them. There's, even if they're kind of a bad guy at first or selfish, you got to have kind of a glimpse into a good guy deep down that'll you'll kind of root for. And I don't think Kuzco was that character. I think Kuzco, and combining that with David Spade, who had this reputation of being, you know, funny jerk guy.
Right.
Kuzco never grabbed the hearts of the audience like the other Disney characters have in the past. It's what made it unique, but it's also, I think, what kind of killed it in a way, was that Kuzco was so selfish. And his turn is not huge in the movie. I mean, Kronk has a bigger turn than Kuzco, the main character.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, Kuzco discovers the power of friendship, and that's pretty much the only thing that saved him from like toppling Pacha's village. And
Yeah.
It's so interesting because Kuzco is hardly redeemable, and you're right, he doesn't have that glimpse of something that could redeem him. He's pretty much all flaw, all character flaw. And if it weren't for Pacha, who is his foil, I guess, plot story speaking, like the whole time, then I think people might get really put off by Kuzco if he wasn't so hilarious and sarcastic. Like, I think Kuzco represents the very witty, sarcastic person that we sometimes wish we could all be. Like we have an awkward moment at work and we walk away, and then we have this mental scenario where we say something really snarky to them that totally shuts them down, and you're hero of the day, and they throw a parade for you, and you go home a hero, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of as witty and awesome as Kuzco, but he's terrible. He's such a jerk in the movie. And he doesn't stop being a jerk until the last second.
Exactly. But I think what you just hit on, Mason, which is his sarcasm, that was not a really popular thing to see in characters back then when this movie first came out. And I think it's become more popular. I think sarcastic comedy and things like that, and that kind of biting wit, is more popular now with your generation, probably than the generation that came before that would have seen this in the theaters. And certainly for parents, they didn't want their kids seeing sarcastic characters or idolizing that kind of attitude.
That's true.
I'm trying to remember
him and Pacha make a great dynamic, a great relationship.
Yeah,
they do.
I remember when I went and saw this. I was with my sister and her kids, and they were probably about under 10 for sure. And I just remember, liking it, and I remember they liking it, but I'm not sure if my older sister liked it though.
Yeah.
One, a little bit older. She's we're 13 years apart, so there is a difference. But it's I can see exactly what you're saying with that.
Yeah, I mean, I've always tried a guy thrown out the window.
I mean, what do you guys think?
What wasn't the first time?
It won't be the first. It's not the first one. It's not the last. I'm a rascal.
It's something that I've thought about often though over the years, and I'd love to hear. What's your opinion? Why do you think it didn't do well in the box office?
Emperor's New Groove. Why it didn't? It probably was the market graph right here. It has like all of the U.S. gross in millions of like all of the Disney movies when they came out, and it bumps way up with Tarzan and then comes down for Emperor's New Groove, but IMDb is like, it pulls it a little bit down from the much higher Mulan and then pops up for Emperor's New Groove for Tarzan. And so it's interesting to see that that correlation there, like as to why did Tarzan do much better theatrically, but it still wasn't as liked as Emperor's New Groove. It's a conundrum. I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with, the VHS sales, maybe. I think it was
Yeah.
one of those that you had to watch over multiple times to be able to really, the little kids are like it more than the adults maybe. I don't know.
And I think at that time too, what you just hit on, I think is pretty correct too, Chelsea. And there's never one reason, right? I mean,
Right.
we could say that all of these things played against the success of Emperor's New Groove and its original release. But also, I think the fact that it wasn't a musical and it wasn't a girls' film. It was definitely more of a boys' film with the sense of humor and the main characters all being male. That I think girls had a harder time getting their heads around it. It wasn't romanticized. There wasn't much of a love interest at all.
Tarzan did have a
Hardly.
love interest.
Oh yeah, and Tarzan had Phil Collins. It had these beautiful songs,
Right.
and it was much more of a traditional Disney film because
Yeah.
of that.
I'm not sure.
I think that Dinosaur was a more traditional Disney film than The Emperor's New Groove, and it came out the same year. And that had a love story.
Oh, shudder! I shudder at Dinosaur.
Shut up.
Hey, you know it made almost 3 times the gross that Emperor's New Groove did?
Did it? Oh, that's
Which brings me-
humiliating.
Which brings me to my answer to Tony's question is that I do think it had a lot to do with the coming up of CG animation in favor of that rather than traditional 2D animation. And I know that a lot of our fellow animation addicts will be like, no, I'll never give up on hand-drawn animation. Well, a lot of people did. Like
Yeah.
your average
Yeah.
consumer did. And
Wanted
as
the new,
much as-
the fresh, the ooh.
the new, the fresh, the ooh. And also Chicken Run came out that year, so I think about a bunch of people came out for Mel Gibson. So,
Yeah.
and then Monsters Incorporated, Monsters Inc. and Shrek came out in 2001. So it was like Emperor's New Groove was like surrounded by CG and 3D effect animation.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
Which you could say, I mean, if it had a different story, or if it had, a romantic side, or if it had better songs to it or something, that maybe it would have people would have gravitated because it was different, because it was 2D. But for whatever reason, it like I said before, I think it was one of the films that, because it had a downturn economically, financially, it kind of put a nail in the coffin for 2D soon after that.
Well, I guess to kind of round out this discussion, and let me know if y'all agree with this. I think that Emperor's New Groove, in whatever ranking you have in your mind of Disney animated film, it has to stand apart. And it's look at that! Oh, that's great. I love that. I love that sequence where he's turning into the llama very slowly. It is like, hey, Krug, how about those spinach puffs, huh?
For those that can see us, these are actually a gift that I got from Nick Ranieri, who's my good friend. He was the supervising animator on Cusco, and he did these for his crew. What they are is Cusco and Cusco Llama. What do you call them? You put a coffee mug on it on the table.
What do you put the coasters?
Coasters. These are coasters.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, I wasn't just having a hysterical fit for those of you who are listening to the audio-only version. So you'll have to go back on the video and figure out why did Mason freak out at around the 45-minute mark. What? Oh my gosh! So in the end, I think you just have to put it in its own category. I would say it is a Disney cult classic, but then that's where you put the Black Cauldron. So I don't think the two really go together. So I really think The Emperor's New Groove just goes in the groove category. Beware the groove.
Beware the groove. It's got its own groovy area, that's for sure.
It does have its own groovy area. But I love the film. I don't know what I'm going to rate it yet. We rate the films at the end of each episode, so get ready.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, out of 5 stars or Mickey A. Mouse ears or whatever currency you use for your rankings. But yeah. Any last thoughts on the film?
Yeah, I did want to go in a little bit into the music. I mean, the fact is, the only song that really holds my mind is Cusco. Ba, 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 da, ba. Oh, that's such a great.
Oh,
I
I
love
like
the
what
fact
you're
that they got-
saying. Come on, sing some more, Chelsea.
He's the
lyrics are
son
great.
of the nation. He's the hippest cat in creation. He's the alpha. He's the alpha, the omega, A to Z. Da, 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 da. I love it.
That's it. Yeah.
The
You know who
lyrics are
sang
so-
that, right? Who sang that?
Yeah, Tom Jones. Like,
That Tom
what's
Jones.
what's the cat? Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa. Yeah.
Did they
exactly.
have his likeness kind of running around in that sequence?
Yeah, they did, and he was dressed as
Well,
Elvis.
yeah, they gave this
because he
little-
was
yeah.
performed at Vegas. Yeah, I heart all of that, and that one was done by Sting. He did put that together, with other collaborations as well. But like that song, and then if you look at the album, it's like, and the best original, and the song that it got an Academy Award nomination for what for best original song was My Funny Friend and Me,
Right.
which is the very last song, like after the the big dance party, everybody gets into the pool and everything, and it goes straight to the
Obligatory
slow,
animated dance party.
yeah, but it just goes into like this super slow R&B remix of a song that we never even saw in the film, you know?
I
And
know.
I
I,
was just
thought
like,
that was the lamest song too. To me,
We got to
that's
bring those
what?
back.
like that. From what I remember though, Sting. I think it was a holdover. I think that "Funny Friend of Me" song was a holdover from the first version, and
right.
they kept that for the credit song because Sting liked it so much, and he was kind of demanding that.
That's
But
funny.
But the directors asked for a song to open. They did want to have Sting as the songwriter, and they wanted some Sting songs, but he had lost all his momentum. Once they killed like
Mhm.
7 of his songs, he was like, I don't know if I even want to work on this. I mean, you see it in the Sweatbox. He's like, I don't
Yeah.
even know if I want to do anymore. But they're like, can you please just give us an opening song? So he did that Tom Jones number, which is very unlike Sting. It's not a real
Very
Sting.
unlike Sting.
Yeah, and I think he did it begrudgingly. I don't think he was proud of it. I think that's why, they just put Tom Jones on it. Sting didn't want to sing it. He wasn't going to do that.
Can I just say though, I was listening to all of the songs and all of the what was in Kingdom of the Sun, and I'm just gonna be honest and say that I don't think I would have liked it.
Yeah,
Like you look at Phil Collins, and Phil Collins, he's got like his worked with Tarzan. Sting, any of the songs that he put in there, like just the melodies that he was doing, and I don't know. I just had a hard time with it. Maybe I'm just not a Police fan. Hey, whatever.
what?
I know. But I didn't.
You
feel
take
like-
that back.
Woo! Yeah,
I
pull that
just
pull that over. There's a 911. Get the police.
Ouch. That's it. She's going down.
I just feel like none of them really had that. Well, no, the Llama Llama song, I was
Oh,
a fan
okay.
of.
You like that one?
I did like the Llama song just because it was the Walk the Llama. Ooh. I felt like that one had a lot more energy, and all of the other songs that they showed or previewed were very ethereal, very just kind of like out there.
Right.
And I just don't think it would have tagged or hit home with like just everyday audiences, and especially kids. I don't think
Right.
they would have really appreciated it. I don't think I would have appreciated it at that age.
Well,
I-
you
It seemed
combine
like
those-
all of them would have halted the momentum of the movie, even if it wasn't this wacky comedy.
Yeah, no, and they really they were made specifically for that old story,
Right.
not for the new
Right.
one. They
Right.
certainly, wouldn't have worked. And that's why Sting was totally on board when Roger Allers was doing it. He was totally into the vision that Roger had for the movie, but it was a totally different movie. The tone was more
Mhm.
serious. It's more of a romance, and everything that Sting kind of represents in his music
yeah.
that had in the tone and the feel of the story. And then record scratch, we're going the other way now, and it's kind of this wacky comedy thing. That was not Sting at all. So the fact that they got one song out of him in the beginning,
It was a great song. Really, really great
Yeah.
song.
but you loved it, see? So
I
it
did.
worked.
I did. So I can say that, I do like some Sting songs, and I do, but it was just like some of these just didn't fit. And I felt like
Message
in my
in a
funny.
bottle.
Oh yeah,
You don't like that one?
no, of course
Come
you like
on.
those. Like there's the standard ones that everybody knows, everybody likes. Yeah, great. But then like
You red
as
light.
a whole, I didn't feel like much. Why am I explaining myself?
Chelsea,
wasn't
you're
a
fine. You're
opera.
fine.
Well, see, they
I
should have
just don't
changed
feel like
gears.
they would have pushed it forward.
They should have got Cyndi Lauper to do the music for Emperor's New Groove. They could have had a whole new like sound and stuff. It would have, I don't know. Or who's the group that did
Her 80s phase or her country phase?
her 80s phase for sure. Girls just want to have fun kind of thing. That's more the vibe of Emperor's
Yeah.
New Groove.
Very much so.
Except there's no girls in the movie.
Or
There
what's
are,
the
but they're
group that
in
did-
for like 2 seconds.
yeah, what's the group that did Rock Lobster? I forget.
Oh, B-52s.
Yeah, B-52s. They would have done a great job.
We were at the beach. Everybody had matching towels.
It's like a
Right.
matching towels thing. I don't know. They did a song about
Yeah.
Idaho. Love Shack was
Yep.
good. Love Shack
Shack,
would have been
come
a
on.
great song for the Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
They're
running-
It's like a different world. Once you start imagining it going in that direction with your head, all of a sudden you're like, yeah, okay,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can see that.
I
But
get
that opening song where they're introducing Kuzco serves a great purpose of really representing what Kuzco thinks of himself. How he's very celebratory, very self-focused,
Right.
and I suppose he gets dragged through the mud, like literally, and falls on his face so much towards the end of the film. And then his narrator self has to teach them the lesson at the end. So it's a hard learned lesson, but he does kind of learn at the end to not be so selfish. But he kind of gets his comeuppance, which helps satisfy the audience for how much of a jerk he is at the beginning. But yeah, interesting character study.
Yep. And how about Yzma? We should talk about Yzma turning into a cat at the end. Was that classic or what? Is that my voice? Is that my voice? I love that.
Oh, well. I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home? Yes,
That's
you're excused.
that
Anyone
one.
else?
Yeah,
No, we're
yeah.
good.
No, we're fine. Yeah.
Come on,
Okay.
man. Nobody lives forever. He's been turned into an
Yeah.
octopus.
They just dive into their death, basically. Nobody lives forever. Let's go kill ourselves. Ah! And then seeing them all coming out. I love that picture of that motif of the face, and they all coming out the nose.
The
Like-
push out, and then the bigger push out, and then the even bigger push out.
Yeah.
I think at some point there's such a big push out that it goes out into the jungle, and they do
The
this
monkey.
little like this naturalistic scene with like a monkey eating. It's like, what's with the monkey?
Yeah.
Can we get back to the action, please?
That
Oh,
This-
I remember seeing those in storyboards. That first monkey scene, and it really set the tone of the comedy. Once we saw that, we're like, oh, it's one of those kind of movies,
Okay.
Which
I get
was
it.
It's like Skynet. It's become self-aware.
right? And you had characters like talking to the camera. Kronk, at certain points talks to the cameras and stuff, breaks the third wall. That whole thing that had never been done in a Disney feature. It made it really unique.
How did y'all feel
Yeah.
about that? Was there a commotion in the studio, or was it a breath of fresh air? What was it like?
No, most of the crew was like all over it. They loved it. I mean, it was because it was so unique and different. People were like, I can't believe we're doing this. I can't believe they're letting us do this. But like I said,
They're
We're getting away with it.
they
Do it fast before they stop us.
Right, we did. And that's why we cranked it out in 8 months. I mean, they couldn't stop us. We had to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to take too much of your time, Tony, but we do have a few questions from
Sure.
chat. So, just give us the signal when you're sick of hearing from us and talking with us, and then we'll start wrapping up.
Okay.
And so yeah, this one's from Charmy Sketches on the
Charmy.
.com/live. Can Mr. Bancroft talk a bit about how it was working with David Spade?
I wouldn't know. I didn't work with David Spade. I worked with Patrick Warburton. So, I heard his recordings, and my buddy Nick, who did work with David Spade on Cusco, he would tell me stories and stuff. But I think overall, David was into it, and I've heard David Spade say the same as Patrick Warburton, that he looks back at doing the voice for Cusco as a good thing, in his career.
All right. Let's see. Haley Mullins from Rotoscopers chat says, was there any collaboration between y'all and Florida, or California and Florida, during Emperor's New Groove?
Oh, that's a good question. The
When
Florida studio was still going, but we did this all in California. I started at the Florida studio with my brother, and then I left to go into animation and things like that, and work in the Burbank studio. And so after Mulan, where I went back to Florida for a short time, for about 1.5 years, 2 years, then I came back to California, and that's when I started working on Emperor's New Groove. But Florida was not involved with Emperor's New Groove at all that I remember.
Okay.
And then this one's from Mark Brown. Oh, shout out to Mark Brown. I met him personally, and I just saw him randomly at Universal Studios when I was taking a vacation. I know I wasn't at Disney. Sorry, y'all.
Wow.
I had to try the other side of the tracks, but we did do Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party that week, and it was a blast.
Did he recognize
he's
you,
asking,
or did you recognize him?
Mark walked up to me and was like, "Are you Mason Smith?" And I was like, "Who wants to know?" I was like, yeah, that's me. He was like, "Hey, I'm Mark from the Rotoscope Bros." I was like, "What?" And I don't think I've ever seen a photo of his actual face because all of his profile pictures are of Scar from The Lion King.
That's
So
right.
I pictured a kind of a lanky lion, not a lot of meat, you know. You know, he didn't get the lion's share of brute strength, but he did get the brains. But yeah, and we never took a photo. I think it was just really awkward. We're like, all right, nice to meet you in IRL in real life. Gotta go, you know. But Mark Brown looks great in person. But anyway, he says, how'd you learn about the Rotoscopers? How'd you know about us?
I think, well, you know, when Tom and I started doing the podcast, our own podcasts, we'd go to iTunes and see what the competition is, all the other animation podcasts out there.
Yeah, we're
And so
competition.
Yeah, we're taking you guys down. No, you guys have a lot of great ratings and followers. And,
Please.
you know, we were like, oh man, these guys are really, I love the name. I mean, off the top, I was like, oh, Rotoscopers, what a perfect
Some
name.
people hate the name.
Some people
Really?
really gave us issues.
Yeah, because it suggests, you know, like the Don Bluth era of, you know, not really doing animation, but tracing and over live action. I guess I get that. I actually think of it more of an old school term for, like, I don't know, rotoscoping. I don't know. I still think of it as a real fun in-house animation term. So I liked it. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's how we first found out about you guys and did some research on different podcasts and stuff. And I liked what you guys are doing. I like the format that you guys have.
And how to destroy them.
And no offense to you, Mason, but it always helps when you have pretty girls on a podcast or on a show.
Absolutely. My prettiness can only go so far. I really appreciate Chelsea and Morgan for the wonderful clean cut.
Where is Morgan
women
these
that they are.
days? I don't know where Morgan is. Where is she?
She has a child now. She
just had a baby.
she just had a baby.
No.
She's busy. She's busy.
Yeah, she's got enough going on.
She's busy right now, but she sends her best. Also, if y'all should check out the Bancroft Brothers podcast. Their most recent one they did, if you'll forgive me some flattery, they did. If you like My Little Pony, if you're a brony or you're into stuff like concept art and stuff, then check out their latest podcast, episode 63. Congratulations, y'all. J. Scott Campbell and Tanya LaHoo, I guess is how you say the name.
Tanya. We talk about that on the podcast. Yeah, Tanya LaHoo.
Tanya. All right.
Yeah.
Well, definitely check out their stuff, y'all, and show them some support. And I think we have time for maybe one more question, I guess. Chelsea, do you want to get this one?
I can't see it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Let's see. Ooh, it is up to me to decide the final question. Oh, here's a good one. This one's from David K on the YouTube chat. Tony, if there was a third movie for Emperor's New Groove, do you have any ideas for the title? We already talked about launching Kronk into space. Godspeed, Kronk.
Maybe I don't know. I always thought
they clone him in the third one, and so they send evil Kronk out into space to find his parents.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe The Emperor is Still Groovy, or The Emperor Grooves On. Maybe.
Grooves on.
Oh, the groove lives on. May the groove be with you.
Yeah, the groove lives on. I don't know. You know, at this point, you got to have groove in there somehow, because I feel
That's
like
true.
it's so associated. Even though that's such a '60s, like when they first told us the title, nobody liked it. We were all like, "What? Emperor's
Nobody
New
likes to groove?
Because groove was such a '60s, like groovy is such a '60s term. We felt like, you know, is there going to be anybody that connects with that
I
term?
loved the quote though. You throw out my groove. Like that is one that everybody pulls out. Like that's a great line.
Yeah, we-
sorry, but you threw off the Emperor's groove.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. It could have been Mojo, I guess.
Oh,
Emperor's
someone
Groove.
suggested Yzma's new groove. Maybe go a little more into her tragic backstory of how she became a villainess.
Right.
That's where
Yeah,
you
that
get
could
the
be
villain
good.
song for her.
And then you make it a gritty
Yeah,
live action CGI reboot.
How many- How do you tell how many people are actually on listening to us right now or watching?
Well,
us?
right now on I have the dashboard here. We have 16 viewers on YouTube, and then I don't know how many are watching live from
It would be
from
they
the
would
actual.
it would
At
show
one
up
point
on
we had,
YouTube
like,
though.
Yeah, at one point we had like 25 or something.
Millions, but more than my brother.
Millions.
More than my brother, though, right? When he was
Right,
on.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's all I care about.
Very good. Well,
Yes.
Tony, we're gonna launch into. Oh, okay, real quick, and I want to know how Tony does this. Out of 5 stars, what would you rate Emperor's New Groove? This is important. This is where it all counts. This is where it all comes down.
Because the story was not as stellar as I think it could have been structurally, I'm going to go 4 stars.
Ooh, 4 stars. You can go into 0.5s and occasionally 0.25s, but we tend to stray away from those. All right,
That's
so
crazy.
4 solid stars. I know we had someone actually give a multiple of a quarter star once on the show, and it was
She was
bad.
blackmailed. She was
Yeah,
blackmailed.
yeah. It's like make a
Blacklisted.
decision. Come on.
Blacklisted.
Blacklisted. I'm like, there's some type of black in there.
All right, all
You're
right,
so
Chelsea.
racist.
Not the first time we've been called that. I'm just kidding. But oh, see, nobody knows behind the scenes, but sometimes we get really rude feedback for the show. But I'm sure everyone does when
Oh yeah, we
I gotta-
never have the Bancroft brothers, but
Yeah.
I can
Well, I
understand.
understand you guys. You would never. Yeah, I was looking up on iTunes and somebody because I didn't know what wayfinding or wayfaring was.
Yeah.
They're like, you lost a listener. I was like, I'm sorry.
Oh
I'm
gosh.
so sorry.
Speaking of racist, that was a literal grammar Nazi.
Like, that is so harsh. For me,
All right,
I'm
what's
gonna
your
give
rating?
Ouch.
Yeah. I will also. I'm going back and forth between 4 and 4.5. I almost want to do 4.5 just for nostalgia and wackiness.
Yes.
In fact, I'm just going to do that 4.5 for wackiness.
Nice.
4 stars. This one is brilliant. But I don't know if Tony knows this, but I give a 5-star. A 5-star rating is where The Lion King is, and
Oh,
maybe
okay.
1 or 2 other films. But as far as 2D hand-drawn animation, The Lion King is the perfect 2D hand-drawn animated film, in my opinion. And so I put it there up on 5 stars. So whenever I compare, do you see this motion I'm making?
Yeah, I like that. It fits right in there.
Yeah, then you got to blow in the cartridge and let it connect. It's just like an old Nintendo. So Emperor's New Groove is a little bit below it because it's like Kronk said, the plot, by all accounts, it doesn't make sense. And so, but I love the artwork on it, I love the style, and I love the comedy. So there's no shame in being a 4-star film on the Rotoscopers.
No.
Absolutely.
All
I
right.
agree.
We're going to start launching into voicemails. How many voicemails do we have, Chelsea?
I have 3 voicemails right now.
Okay.
And so let's.
Tony,
go
if we're taking up too much time, then we can
I gotta
see you
go.
off now and do logistics later.
I gotta go. I probably gotta go.
All right, Tony,
sorry.
thank you so much for being on the show. We love you. And I'm sure I
Yeah,
would love
thank
your
you
brother
so
Tom,
much.
but not as much as you, I guess.
But thanks.
Well,
Hey, we'll do a
well-
crossover. Maybe we'll have all 3 of you guys, all the Rotoscopers on the Bancroft brothers, and maybe we'll
Whoa.
do like a
Wow.
5
dual
people.
podcast.
5 people on one podcast. The technical difficulties are going to kill us.
Yeah, Chelsea will have to go to somebody's house that has better Wi-Fi though.
I will most definitely have to do that.
Go to the library. You'll be in the library. All right, guys.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun
See you,
talking about
Tom.
Emperor's New
Thanks.
Groove.
Thank you, Tony.
Tony, but thank you.
I
Okay.
have Tom- I'm sorry.
You're
They just
racist
Just
and
get
an
out.
idiot.
Jeez. Just get out of here, Tony. Just abort. Eject.
All right. See you guys.
Sorry. Bye.
Oh,
Oh,
poor
that's
Chelsea.
Poor me. I always get the short end on these things.
There's our title for the episode. Just kidding. We wouldn't do that.
Oh man, we are very grateful that Mason is back. He is known as the funny one, and I am poor
Please.
Chelsea.
And Chelsea is the. I know. I can't even say it. It's so mean.
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Hey, baby. This is Alex calling
Oh,
into
there's a
Good
voicemail
Morning
playing right now.
Groove. This is honestly one of my favorite Disney films.
There's a voicemail
I
playing
know
right
it's
now. We're
not
just
the
gonna run
most
with it.
bold or ambitious, but it's definitely one of their funniest, right up there with Aladdin. It's also one of the most quotable. I know that you 3 have quoted this movie several times on the podcast, and I think that it ranks among Aladdin, Hercules, and Tangled as one of the most quotable Disney movies. I feel like this is one of those Disney movies that were a disappointment at the box office but experienced newfound popularity on home video. This is similar to Hercules and Treasure Planet to an extent. And what my favorite thing about this movie is the characters. There's not a single character in this movie that I don't absolutely love. And a lot of that is due to the top-notch voice cast, which I think is among the best that Disney has ever assembled. I also think that the
Ooh.
score for this movie is underrated. In my opinion, ranks among the best scores for a Disney movie. So overall, I give it 4.5 stars. Keep up with good work and Kronk out.
Kronk out. I love it. Okay,
That's
so
awesome.
I forgot the name of the caller because I think the
Alex.
beginning cut off.
Yeah,
Alex,
sorry.
Alex, thank
I was like,
Thank you so
let's
much
just,
for
let's
your,
just cut out from talking about Chelsea again and her foibles.
she took control of the conversation real quick.
No, we're moving on.
She's like, no one's gonna do that to me again on the podcast. I'm in control. Chelsea's darker side tonight on podcast expose. So he brings up a great point. Do you think that can you name a better and more well to put together voice cast for a Disney film than The Emperor's New Groove? Because I think it ranks pretty high up there.
It really does rank very high up there. That would be hard for me to definitively say right now. I'd have to really go in to look at that. But it is a great crowd, and I was great with them. I did hear some feedback from some people who are just like they just in general don't like David Spade, and I don't have nothing against David Spade. I think I've loved lots of movies that he's been in, so I'm cool.
Personally, I'm
yeah.
cool with him. He's always been cool with me.
Yeah, we're cool. So yeah, I think I can't give a definitive answer, but top notch. I love it.
Yeah, I really like the voice cast for Emperor's New Groove because they really own their characters. Like, let's just face it, Cusco is basically like a dark-haired David Spade, and then John Goodman really brings his kind of heartwarming kind of vibe to it, and guy doing Kronk and whoever's doing Yzma. Gosh, I'm totally blanking. But anyway, the entire voice cast is really good. That's a real thinker, though, finding a better one, because for a while, like you get into the golden age and like pre-Renaissance stuff, like there's a lot of lesser known voice casts.
Right.
Like Disney really held off on the big Hollywood names for their films for a while. Eartha Kitt, thank you, Ernesto. And but man, I don't know. Zootopia had good voices.
Yeah.
I really love Jason Bateman in anything. But he was the perfect I forget what was
his character.
Yeah, the aforementioned Fox character in Zootopia. Ernesto, help me out. What was his name?
Nick. His name is Nick.
Oh, Nick Wilde. That's right.
Nick
I was about
Wilde
to say
and Judy
Sly
Hopps.
Cooper.
Yeah,
And Judy Hopps. It really works out.
When you're live, everything just flies.
But anyway, second voicemail, please.
All right, our next one is from Jack Song. These are all
Jack
we've got a lot
Song
of
can
like
take you on. Jack Song can take
Hey,
you on.
Rotoscopers, this is Jack calling in about The Emperor's New Groove, and I gotta say, I love this movie. It's impossible to hate for me. How can anyone hate this movie? It is quotable. It is like Disney's most quotable movie. I can just quote all day about this. So how do you remind me you're related to Pacha? Why, I'm his third cousin's brother's wife's stepniece's great aunt, twice removed. Wrong lever. Why do we even have that lever? For the last time, sir, we did not order a giant trampoline.
That's
I
right.
can go on and on about this movie. Every time I watch it, it just brings a smile to my face. Are the characters memorable? Maybe Yzma and Kronk are, and maybe Kuzco and Pacha aren't as memorable. But it's kind of forgiven because it is a dynamic comedy duo, which I do enjoy. But what else can I say about it? I mean, I would probably give it 4 stars objectively, but it gets that nice 5-star for me because it has that, because 1 star for nostalgia, baby. I love it. I hope you guys have a great time with this movie as much as I do whenever I watch it at least once or twice a year. So, Rotoscopers, take care and keep up the great work.
Ooh,
Jackson can take you on. Jackson can take on anyone. Thank you, Jackson.
great.
Yeah, I like who doesn't like it? I can't think. I know that there was someone in the Rotoscopers Patreon group. We have a Patreon exclusive only Facebook group.
We do.
Said that they didn't like it. I'll try to find it while you.
I think
queue up
he
the
was the
next.
one that said because he didn't like David Spade.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, this one is from Jeremiah.
Hello, Rotoscopers. It's Jeremiah, calling about the Emperor's New Groove. This is a long-awaited episode, of course. And this is possibly the most quotable comedy ever made because, as witnessed by, everyone quotes it. If you are a Disney nerd, you have to quote this movie. You have no choice. You have no free will on the subject. Actually, I was literally a few weeks ago at college, and Carolyn, a friend of mine, pressed the button for the crosswalk and said, "Pull the lever, Kronk," to which, of course, I responded, "Wrong lever!" And a third party was happy to add, "Why do we even have that lever?" And, of course, that got my morning off to a perfect start, possibly the best morning of the year. I am absolutely excited, by the way, that you have a special guest, Tom Bancroft. Hello, sir. I am just a little fan, but I think you're amazing. I was just wondering, what was it like helping animate Kronk? What was it like trying to work with somebody who's so bulky? Was that a challenge, or did it free you up, actually, with working with somebody who's so cartoony? And also, what do you think makes Disney special? All right, that is all, Rotoscopers. Thank you for a great year. Happy, I think, 4th anniversary? Yes, I think, maybe, I don't know. I've only been with you 4 years since January, but it's been a fantastic ride, and I've loved all your stuff. All right, see you guys.
Thank you, Jeremiah. He put out
Wild ride indeed.
I loved that. Anytime that a random third party can join in on a Disney quote, like continual quote, makes my life happy. That is awesome. So thank you for sharing that wonderful experience. And Mason, what makes Disney special?
What makes Disney special? Oh gosh, aren't there like books written about that? Why do y'all want to hear my opinion on it? So Disney brought an element of magic to filmmaking through their animation and through their storytelling, through the art form, and they were the pioneers of feature film. They were pioneers of feature film animation, but they were the pioneers that did it the most effectively from a business and from an art standpoint. That's not to say that objectively they are the greatest and that they will always dominate and that you cannot love any other studios, but historically they have been on top. And so I would say I am happy that other studios and other places have had an opportunity to kind of rise up and gain popularity and stuff, but Disney will always have this magical component to it. And like developing that and capturing that and stuff is really what Disney is all about. Very happy to have Tony on the show and that he had all those experiences with Disney animation.
Yeah, for sure. You know, actually, speaking of other studios, we didn't really do a great job of introducing him as far as like the other things that he has going on as well. So after Disney, he went on and he's done so many other things. He is now a producer and co-director. I think he's just producer of a new movie that will be coming out later on this year. It's called Animal Crackers. And I did a brief run of some of the voice cast that's going to be on that one. And you were talking about like awesome voice cast. That one has an awesome voice cast. But so I'm really excited to see some of the other things that are coming out, whether or not they have, and most of the time it comes out of more indie situations. I think Disney in this situation, they kind of turned themselves into an indie studio just because they didn't put so much rules and regulations on what the story had to be because they had so little time. They just had to put something out there. And so I'm excited to see some of those different things, especially Animal Crackers, which is going to become, well, it doesn't have a release date, he said, but sometime in 2017. So that'll be fun.
Very good.
All right.
Sometime in 2017.
Yeah. So we have some ending remarks for you, Mason. I'm so glad you were here today.
Oh, shucks. It's been a while, hasn't it? What has it been, like 2 months?
Something like that, yeah. It's been a
Y'all,
while.
we were trying to ship out a game, and we got it shipped out this week. It's an educational game that teaches calculus, and it's being marketed directly to educators, and I think eventually it'll be for right now it's for use at universities and places of learning, and real proud of my work. There's a trailer out on Facebook. I don't know. I'll send you all a link or something, but
We'll post a link.
yeah, we finished the game, and it was wild ride for me, but the schedule got pretty hairy, and then I was trying to complete the semester in one piece, and so sometimes you gotta let life take the reins, and your side hustles get kind of put to the side because they're side hustles. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for holding down the fort while Morgan has been inexcusably absent.
Inexcusable.
I can't even.
Kids.
Yeah.
We are about to hit, as Jeremiah mentioned, our anniversary, but he was a year off. We are about to hit our 5-year anniversary mark. 5 years.
Remember how Rocky 5 was the best Rocky? Yeah, it's gonna be like that.
It's gonna be like that. So that is going to be on. I think we're going to be doing something cool on February 6th. That will be our 5-year mark. I'm not exact. We haven't decided what we're doing. If you have any ideas, let us know. But we haven't decided. We do know that we did, for our 5th year, we have cut T-shirts. So if you want a T-shirt, they are $1. Folks.
We've been cutting them with scissors.
They are.
You can't cut them any more than we've cut them.
They're $1, and you basically we did this promotion starting New Year's Eve, and we're holding it out basically until they're gone, and they're gone. And so we had about 50 orders come through in the last couple days for those, and so we've got less than 100, maybe 50 or so ish left. So yes, exactly. Thank you for supporting that.
Rotoscopers. If you want to be cool like me, you want to be one of the cool kids, you got to wear this.
Go to rotoscopers.com/store to get yours. And honestly, when they're gone, they are gone. Like, gone.
They go in the vault forever.
We will not be making that shirt again. So definitely get it. You're going to want it. And also, I'm also going to be doing kind of a meetup-ish. Mason went to Disneyland, Universal, and didn't tell anybody, but I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to California, and I'm going to tell people, if you are anywhere close to Anaheim, I will be doing a meetup at Downtown Disney on February 10th. So Friday, February 10th. Haven't decided exactly what we're doing, but it will be Downtown Disney somewhere in that midst, and we'll be doing something awesome. So you guys should definitely let us know if you want any more information about that. I would like to know like how many people would actually show up. So go ahead and send an email to contact@rotoscopers.com and say, hey, I legitimately would be there. And I will take that into consideration when deciding what and why and where and how and what, all those fun details. So 5 years, get it, come meet. Then for any show notes and any notes at all, you go to rotoscopers.com/138. This is our 138th episode.
Holy cow.
That's a lot of episodes, people.
We're long in the tooth. We're like Billy Joe Shaver in here.
Yeah. I think number 140 is going to be our 5-year. So looks like that's how it's working out. Anyway, if you're going to be talking about this on Twitter, make sure to use the hashtag AnimAddicts138. Make sure to follow Tony. You can follow him at PoombaGuy1 on Twitter. He's fun to follow. Both he and Tom are fun to follow. And you should definitely check out their podcast. I am a follower. I listen to it regularly. You should too. Mason, you want to take from here on out? Voicemails?
Yeah. Oh, we forgot to make Tony record the custom outro. We'll send him an email and tell him to do it.
Okay.
Y'all think of the title, y'all.
Yes, be thinking of the title.
Oh, you know what we should do? We should have him introduce the episode and then have Chelsea off camera be like, "Mom, he's got pictures of half naked men in his office.
He's got pictures of fat. They weren't fat. They were
muscly."
I don't think he should have muscly men on his walls.
We'll do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's see.
How can they do voicemails?
Oh yeah, they do. Well, you can do voicemails by going to rotoscopers.com/voicemail. It'll take you to like a little SpeakPipe applet, or you can call 406-646-6575. That's 406-646-6575. And if you want to support the show and be a cool Patreon subscriber, like a true Rotoscopers elite, then you can learn more about that on rotoscopers.com/Patreon. And go and get your shirts, rotoscopers.com/store. Before they're gone forever.
Forever.
Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. We get a lot of feedback on iTunes, so please leave your reviews of the show on iTunes. We really appreciate any feedback that y'all can give us.
Yeah.
And we're also on. Are we still on Hypable and Animated Views? Yeah, we should. We don't have any reason to not be. And you can find us on all your social media outlets which rule your life and don't give you any kind of sense of freedom. But
it's sad. I
haven't gone on my Twitter rant yet, but anyway. And then, we never did our newsletter. But yeah, you can check out Morgan Stradling at Morgan Stradling on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, and Chelsea Robson on Twitter. She also has a website, chelsearobson.com. You can sample her latest music that she's peddling. And
it's got a picture of a great couch on there too.
Really? I want to check that out. And I'm a little more complicated as usual. I'm at Mason SMTX on Instagram. That's normally what I do. And I have a portfolio site. It used to be Mason Smith Portfolio, but I refuse to pay their stupid fee to take off the ads. So if you just look for Mason Smith Animator Portfolio, you can find me there. And then I have a blog, thisanimатedlife.com. That's where I put all my school stuff. And I'm kind of getting into .blogspot.com. That's right. thisanimatedlife.blogspot.com. And that's where I put my school stuff. I don't know how much I'm going to contribute to it because I'm doing probably directed studies and research these last 2 semesters. But hey, so anyway, chelsearobson.com. What do we got here? Taking a while to load, Chelsea.
What?
Taking a while to load here. Better look at your bandwidth.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's you on a fancy couch.
Yes, it's a good couch.
Okay, quote, dreams don't just happen, you make them happen.
It's true.
That's a quote from Chelsea, I'm assuming. Or Nelson Mandela. It sounds like something. Yeah, check it out, y'all.
Check it out.
But anyway, we're so happy that you guys joined us. We still have 16 viewers and I'm just rambling on. Next, I will
got up and left it on.
Next, I will recite crazy court transcripts in the voice of Goofy and Pegleg Pete.
Please do.
Place was a kangaroo court, you see. Anyway, there's a lot of YouTube. Oh yeah, here we go. We got to have you record the. Do you want to record your bit for the custom title after this or now live?
We can do live, sure.
Okay.
Do we have any?
Mute real quick.
What have people been saying we should do?
I think we should do the he's gonna say, "This is Tony Bancroft, and you're listening to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers." Oh, and then someone's got to do the episode.
Right.
So maybe we should have one.
I don't even know. So
Yeah.
I don't have the chat up because, as stated before, my Wi-Fi is horrendous. So is there
Got to get a new waifu.
I do.
Let's see. You can just do the Mom. He has pictures of big, muscular, naked men in his office. That's clickbait enough.
All right, sounds good. We got that. All right. You're listening to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, episode 138, Emperor's New Groove. Mom, he's got pictures of big naked men in his office. I don't think he should. Is that good? Is that good enough?
Love it. Perfect. Flawless on the first take as usual.
Oh, my friends, thank you so much for joining us on this yet another fantastic episode of the Animation Addicts podcast. You are what make this a really fun evening for all of us. So thank you for joining us. It's been grand.
It has been grand. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, until next time, we are the Rotoscopers.
Rotoscopers.
Okay.